Is it still no fault absentee ballot in Maine? You just go request one and you can get it?
Correct.
And then-
You can
I
go
didn't
right-
know. I
go
saw the
right-
lock box outside. That's a new thing, so I wasn't sure what they changed the.
It's just so you can drop it off anytime.
Okay.
Most people
What's that?
just come in and.
Or put it in the mail since it's got an envelope right with it.
All right, here we go. Call this Town of Vinalhaven Select Board meeting for October 18th, 2022 to order. Roll call, Jake Thompson, Don Young, myself. Pam Alley is absent. She's not feeling well. We have Leslie Dyer online. We have Marjorie Stratton, Town Manager, and we have Elizabeth Bunker, Deputy Town Clerk, taking minutes. So move to number 2, the approve the agenda. We have 7B, Woodard and Current update. And that was it, correct? Okay, I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Number 3, approve the minutes from the October 4th, 2022 Select Board meeting. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Yep.
We got 3. Yep.
Number 4, approve and sign treasurer's warrant number 16. So moved.
Second. Do you need another one?
Yeah, we'll need your signature as well.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Number 5, communications. None. All right. Number 6, speakers from the floor. There are none in attendance. Are there any online?
Only one we got.
Yes,
Leslie.
Going once, going twice. All right, we'll move on. 7A, appoint, 7, committee and department reports, appointment. 7A, appoint deputy EMA director.
Is that you, Marjorie?
No, Mark is asking that you appoint Ryan Nizeluk, the ambulance director,
okay.
as an, what does he call it? Deputy,
Assistant
deputy EMA director.
Ryan, how do you say his last?
Nizeluk.
Nizeluk, is that right?
Yeah,
Well, I make a motion that we appoint Ryan Nizeluk as the deputy EMA director.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Seven B, Woodard and Current update.
just from my perspective, I met with the SHIP grant coordinator on Monday. And so I've asked Woodard and Curran to move forward with that application.
Okay.
You know, so far we've had that letter of intent to apply. And then it was all delayed because, you know, they didn't have anybody at DOT that was running the program. So now finally they do, and so that's moving forward.
Good.
Is there deadlines that they know about, I assume?
It's
Woodard and
a,
Curran?
with SHIP grants, it's a rolling
Oh, it is,
application.
okay.
So it's whenever they receive it. He didn't see any problem in us.
All right, I was just wondering, because some of those things have like a hard
Ex-
date, so I'm just making sure if there was one that we were definitely gonna get it in on time.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is not one with the SHIP grants.
Was there someone coming out to inspect like the site related to the
Is
SHIP
that what,
grant?
is that what you did
That's
on
what I
Monday?
just
Oh,
said.
that, oh, sorry, there.
Monday, a man named Chris Mayo came out,
Okay,
took a few pictures, pretty cut and dry. Those boat ramps need work, obviously. He didn't see that it would encompass any more than just the boat ramp. You
Yep.
know, he didn't see anything structurally on the stone abutments.
Okay.
I don't either, but, you know, so it's just replacing those concrete blocks.
okay.
And that's part of the downtown project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Is there any updates other than what's in here on the transfer station?
Well,
Did they
there's
meet,
some,
did they
there's-
meet with Kenny and those, that was,
They did
Yeah.
meet with them, I believe, right?
that
yeah,
was
that,
last time, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
I just would like to get that out to bid
Oh, I
as soon as
know.
possible, so.
What does he say about?
Well, I mean, for someone to come out here in the spring, they're gonna have to know so they can have everything ready to mobilize it. To come out here, it's not like they
That's
can
what I
just,
mean.
they're gonna need to know if they need to spend nights or what equipment they're gonna need to
Right.
leave out here. They're gonna need to have a plan because they're gonna have other projects that are gonna start in the spring too. so.
Exactly. We were hoping,
Continue advancing 90% design of transfer station.
like, when we first beginning, like, this time last year, we were talking about it being done, like,
Already,
in May and June, and the new transfer station up and running for the
I don't
summer, but
completely understand the
I don't know what the
delays.
delay is on this particular project, because.
we've settled on a design.
Exactly.
That was a little bit of a hold up at the beginning, but that's been settled for months.
We don't have to
And
get easements or anything like that, it's all
Yeah.
town-owned property, like there's, so.
It's basically mostly just fixing what's up there.
Right.
Looks like I think we went a little too far on the design, though. I think a lot of stuff in there that you really wonder, do we need it?
Well, I'm sure it's gonna get cut out. when the
Right,
bid
because
comes
we,
back
we
in.
put it out to bid, because we originally, was it more than a year ago now, had the original, like, the first draft of the design, and what it was gonna cost, was like 850,000, right?
Yeah.
And the part that has to be done, the retaining wall, that was.
That was a big
like,
deal.
That was
Yeah,
like,
that's a-
that
that's
was
a
like
given.
500 of it.
Yeah.
So you're
that's
gonna
a
have to
given.
do that, or 600 of it. And we thought, well, if we can get this better design in place where it improves the flow of traffic and it's safer for everyone in and out, let's do it for the additional 200 or 250, but I think everyone feels now there's no
I
way it's
just
gonna
look at
cost us
saying, I think,
that.
what the hell?
I mean, it would make sense, in my opinion, to have one way in, one way out, which is what this new design does. It provides it easier for people to back up and unload whatever they're unloading. But
There's a lot of.
it's gonna cost way more than what we originally quoted. Just
Yeah.
because of where we need. But we can't get any kind of quote, a more realistic quote until we get it out to bid. And we can't do that until this part is done, so. It would be nice if we could get that finished. Like this month, but
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yesterday.
All right, are there any more questions on this report here? All right. Move on to 8, old business, 8A, model aquaculture development moratorium ordinance.
So, Crystal Canny sent the model ordinance that you had been looking for. I don't know if you had an opportunity to review it.
I thought it looked pretty good, actually.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna have a lot of land-based things going on anyway.
No. I don't know how you would have a land-based operation out here. Where would you get the piece of property to begin with?
Conservation property, land trust.
I doubt the land trust would give that up for an aqua farm.
And as I said, Emily Lane submitted another letter, and she asked that I also add this letter from the deputy commissioner again. This was in your packet on August 30th. She just wanted to make sure that you had it, so I said that I would add it in again.
I mean, we're not in this spot where we're gonna issue any moratorium anyway, correct? We're still. I don't think much has changed in 2 weeks since we last discussed this.
Well, this is an actual ordinance.
Yeah,
that was
proposal. I just think we ought to, we can't, but we shouldn't go
I
forever
don't, I don't
on
think
it.
that there's gonna be a moratorium, is there? I thought we.
You can have a
Well-
moratorium, but then somebody's gonna draft the actual, well, I mean, I
Right, then
guess
we have
they
180
did draft the
days.
ordinance, yeah. And then you'd have to enact this.
Well, maybe we all should be taking a look at it separately and come back with our thoughts and then decide what the next course of action is.
Yeah, because before we have any kind of an ordinance, we're gonna have to have a public hearing to propose it and have
Yeah.
public hearing to enact it.
Right.
So we better make sure that if there's anything that we want in here, changed, that we talk about it before we put it out there.
Well, I'm saying, we all look at it ahead of time and then sit down as a group and get our thoughts together.
Yeah, I haven't read it, actually, I've been busy, so.
Yeah, I as well.
I went through it quickly, and to me, it's something that we ought to be seriously thinking about before, just so we don't get caught with our pants down.
Yeah, I've just been doing all this lobster stuff. I had 2 meetings last week. I got another meeting on Thursday.
But that's kind of important.
Yeah, I haven't had time to read it. I've been reading other stuff. So maybe we can put it on the next agenda again. Do you have any thoughts on what we think we should do, if we should do anything, or
Yeah.
if we should change it, maybe, I guess, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to read it, so I have no idea what it says.
Did you see that the Main Island Coalition was having
Meeting this
a
Friday,
meeting
correct?
Friday
Yeah,
on the lobstering issue?
I'm gonna try to attend that.
That's
That
gonna
has to be in
be,
person though, doesn't it? I think it's not a Zoom meeting, I think.
That's a good question. I would think that there'd be an opportunity. Most meetings now are hybrid, so that you
Right.
can,
do both.
Uh, No, the Zoom link is below. All right, so I can zoom in. All right. There is a Zoom link. Yeah, I mean, for this ordinance here,
And I don't think it's gonna hurt anything to enact it, I don't think. I mean, I wanna look at it. I can't
No,
talk about it
yeah.
now, so.
that's,
No, we don't want to be doing it blind.
it's not
I've
like even
seen
if,
this, I've read this letter that the commissioner sent before, the one that we got in August.
Right,
I've
I
seen that
saw
letter. I haven't read Emily's letter or this, so I don't know. I mean, I know where Emily stands on everything. I'm pretty sure I know. She was here talking about it.
all right, so
I haven't read the letter. so.
we'll all go over that and we'll bring it up. We'll talk about it next time, but even if we were gonna enact it tonight, it's like you said, we then have to have a public meeting, get comments, and then we'd have to
It
have
would
it
be a month
approved.
before
It'd be at least a month.
I don't think there's any
Place.
sense of urgency. We have to be done in the next.
If
We-
we had
couple
it-
weeks
Have we
or
received
whatever.
any applications for any other
Well, you
aquaculture?
would know because someone would have bought 10 or 15 acres on the
Exactly,
water
right.
somewhere and want to be changing the zoning laws, which they'd have to do to make it commercial,
Right,
unless they could find it somewhere which they can't.
no. All right. So. All right, let's move on to 8B, purchasing policy.
so the more I dig into this, I made some notes in color. And for instance, in section 4, purchase limits, it starts talking about purchase requisitions and purchase orders. Well, as far as I know, we've never had a purchase order system. So I'm not sure if this is
Isn't
some,
that kind of what the budget process is? And they kind of say what they're gonna buy, isn't it? It's a big item.
well, I
Not
think,
really.
well, this actually talks about a purchase requisition and then a purchase order, which in my experience is a process that's implemented by certain entities. But we've never had a purchase order system. It's like, so every purchase would be going through a document, a department head would submit, so everything that they wanted to order, they'd put on a requisition and then that would get transferred to a purchase order. I don't think we need that. So
Was this something that was brought up by an audit? Is that why it was
I don't know why
implemented?
it's in here. I mean, this is not anything.
No, I
that-
was just curious, like if that was something that an auditor suggested in the past, because
I don't
It's
think
good
so.
business practice. So,
Not in
period.
my experience.
Yeah.
I mean, my
don't
former
remember.
career was municipal auditing and it was never anything that I recommended in an audit letter. And I don't recollect seeing it in any of the audit reports that have been
Well, I mean, in the end, we all have to sign, you have to sign any check or that the town pays. I mean, that's the
Right.
check on some other department, isn't it? This right here.
Right. I mean, I don't see the need for a purchase order system. It's another, and
Be another cost. It's not worth its benefit.
I don't like them.
I mean, I just don't think we have the volume that would require a whole purchase order system, right?
Well, for instance, I had a very short stint as a business manager in a school union down in Blue Hill. And there were 5 schools in the union. And they had a very sophisticated encumbrance and purchase order system because everything came into a central office from each school.
Right.
And you could see how you couldn't really just give each school, carte blanche to order whatever they wanted. In order to have budget controls, they had to have everything coming in from the 5 different schools to this business office. But here, it's just, Debbie keeps a very tight rein on any kind of expenditures. I review them, you review them. I just don't see the need for it. But the more I dig into this purchasing policy, the more irrelevant it seems to me. But then also under competitive bidding, I didn't understand this paragraph where it says that we go out to a formal bid on things over 20,000. And then informal bidding under 5,000, but it doesn't really explain what we're supposed to do between 5,000 and 20,000. It's just, to me, this whole policy is just really confusing. I understand that you want a purchasing policy, and this is what was talked about and discussed back in 2016, but it doesn't.
Yeah, this is before I came on the board,
It
because
doesn't.
I got voted in 2016, because this is, no,
No, you- yeah,
2017.
2017. We both,
Yeah,
started our-
you started like 2 months before.
I started a
did.
little
Have you
before
seen
that.
this before?
No,
For
this
the
is-
before the email we got?
this was before our time.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I think
didn't
Pam
I-
was the only one that's still on the board that was on the board then.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's probably a good policy to have some, I mean, things over 20,000 go out to bid, isn't it? Or is that, like, I mean, we just don't want someone going and buying a $25,000 snow blower if there's a $15,000 one out there, I mean,
Mhm.
I mean,
I mean,
has this been adopted?
Well, when I went back and looked at 2016 with the help of Darlene and with Elizabeth, what we found is that it was never really officially adopted. It came to a town meeting and there was a vote, and then there was a draft. So there was a draft that was discussed and voted, but then a final version never came back to the selectmen, is what we found. So that's why I said, oh, okay, because I think it was you, DW, that said, oh, we have a policy. So that's when I started to try to find, oh, if we have a policy, I should know what that is.
Well, that's
And
what
that's-
Andy always told us, that we did have one for over
right,
15,000.
which I'd assume he's referring to this one.
Yeah.
Anything over 15,000, we had to put out to bid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that is this competitive bidding section here,
Right,
which I think it makes sense.
Okay,
I mean, honestly,
I mean, I
how
don't
many
think we
bids
need
do
to
we
have this.
get on certain things anyway? There's only so many places.
Right.
It depends on what it is, I guess, thing. If it's a piece of
Still
equipment, we could probably get multiple bids.
well, I
If
don't
it's-
really want to have a purchase order system. Is that
No,
That's
something that
fine.
you want?
No,
Okay,
I
So
agree,
I'm gonna-
that's overkill.
I'm gonna amend that. And then, but what about this? Okay, I get the formal bid over 20,000.
But then anything under that,
Informal shall be followed by the purchasing agent on applicable equal to 25, between $2,500 and 5,000.
Which is less than the 20,000 would be informal bidding.
So
But then there's nothing for between five, it was between 5 and 15,000
Or is it,
before.
is there something that's
Just get rid of that
implied?
totally, and just say, if it's over 20, you have to have the formal bid, anything under that is either informal or,
Right, or up to the board to
Is that
decide.
okay?
Yeah,
I'll just,
I think we should keep the over 20,000, have that be
Okay.
bid on. if we
Yes,
could.
I
But
agree.
we could drop it on anything less than 20,000 and, I mean, we'd still have to, someone still has to sign off on it. We have to look at the,
Right.
you know. But,
okay,
I mean, I think,
I mean, between 2,500 and 5,000, that could just be getting a truck repaired, you
Right.
know, I mean. And if it's in the equipment repairs budget, then they have, say, I mean, some things could be $10,000. Truck repairs aren't cheap. I mean,
no,
you know,
But I
I'm just
think-
saying, like, I mean, we wouldn't make them send the truck somewhere else if they said it was gonna cost $10,000. We wouldn't put it out to bid because it's already at the shop or they've looked at it, so.
and like you said, we're gonna know about those repairs before they happen
all right.
typically. I
just
think it
wanted
makes
to-
sense that we should have put things out to a bid if it's 20,000 or more. Even if
Okay.
it's less than that, I'm fine if we want to do a bid, you know what I'm saying? If something is gonna cost $19,000 and we can put out to bid because we know there's 3 or 4 interested parties, we could do that, but
Right.
Well, the way it talks
officially, it
about
should be 20,000 or more, definitely.
Okay,
I think when there's expenditures that are 15,000 and up, we're gonna know about it beforehand anyway,
okay,
correct? If they fall within the operating budget and they're not going over, we've already approved those things. But I agree with you that there's no sense for us to implement a purchase order system.
I don't.
Seems like overkill.
so remove the purchase order wording, and then have something that's like, if it's over 20, have
Yeah,
a formal bid, under 20 would be an option for an informal bid or at the discretion of the board,
See, what,
something that.
on the next part where it says informal bidding, it just, like it asks the head of the department to try and get 3 quotes on every purchase, which, I mean, probably isn't a bad thing. That's just an informal bid process for
right.
those. Like,
exactly.
maybe we should just say if it's over $10,000, they have to do an informal bid. Or,
Okay,
or, I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers out here, but I
No,
mean, that's not a bad problem. If you're buying something that's 15, you call someone, they say, well, it's 15,000 here, maybe make another 2 phone calls
Well,
just to see.
exactly.
I think what Elizabeth said is where you're going, like over 20,000 is a formal bid process,
Yes.
but anything other than that. We'll
Can
get,
be option, it would be option for an informal bid, or at
Or
the
formal.
discretion of the board to just say, go for it or don't go for it, or
Right, yeah,
Yes, yes,
we only have one person that can do this job, so it doesn't matter if you get a bid or not.
right,
right.
yeah. I mean, it's not a bad policy to call around and check prices. I think
Yes.
people
I
do
think
that
we
anyway.
that, Yeah,
I don't think we would need to write it down and say Millie was looking for a new part, you know, a new attachment on the excavator. She's not just gonna call one place and they say, oh, it's gonna be 18,000. She's not just gonna say, okay, unless it's the only one in the country.
Right, exactly.
I mean, which could happen sometimes too, I guess, but I mean, I think most people do. I mean, when Danny was doing stuff, he'd always bring us 2 or 3 bids on things, and I've seen Kenny do the same thing. So I think they all follow the informal process, even if they don't know it even exists, so.
And as long, yeah, I agree though, that if it's something like 10,000 and up to 20, as long as the board's made aware of it and they say, hey, this is something we need, we feel this is a good price, fine, we can approve it, but the thing, 20,000 and up, I think there should be a formal bid process. I think that makes sense.
That was gonna be,
I'll keep working on it.
I think that's all I got.
Okay,
yeah, I mean, we have to have something that makes sense. If you don't have anything between 5 and 20,000, the policy is
It
kind of,
doesn't
doesn't
make
make
sense,
sense. We
right.
get, yeah, maybe you could just put together something that you think makes sense, Marjorie, and bring it back to us, and then we could,
Okay,
I mean,
I
I
just
think you
wanna
have a
make
handle
sure-
on what needs to be done anyway, or
yeah, we don't need to over.
we don't want to make your job any harder than it already is, so.
Right,
And sending everything for 10,000 out for a formal bid to get an envelope back seems a little bit of an overkill to me.
especially when we don't always get more than one bid anyway, so.
Can we just say, like, if it's always at the discretion of the select board to put it out to a formal bid? I mean, some informal bids over 20,000, like when they were buying the ambulance or looking for a new fire, or not a fire truck, but that truck was like 40 something thousand. I don't
Yeah.
think Mark actually did a formal bid process, did he?
But I agree, okay, so to not bog things down and make things take longer than they need to, because sometimes there's time of the essence and they have things have to be done quickly. If there is a purchase 20,000 or more and it has to go through the formal bid process per this policy, if they want to speed things up, they bring it before the board, we review it,
Yeah.
we can approve it, and then it's done,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But there needs to be a policy though that basically sets the expectations.
Right,
So
right,
people don't start misconstruing things.
right, which is, I think we're all on the same page,
I
we're
think
trying to
so.
say, like,
Well, I mean, I don't think everything that's over 20,000 needs a formal bid process. We don't need to put it out in a newspaper and say, would you bid on this? I mean,
no,
I think it could be an informal bid process on some things. It should be at the discretion of the board or the town manager or someone.
right. I mean, how often are we? I mean, I know like in here, there are multiple things over 20,000. Those are already,
School, but school bills, Knox County
But
bills,
some of
those
those
are things
bills,
that,
that's
those are
nothing that
things that
you're
you can't really
bidding
put out for
on.
bid.
it's something we've already contracted with another entity anyway.
Yeah,
So
just
they've already
yeah.
provided the services, we've already agreed to pay them, so that's
Yeah.
different. This is buying like a piece of equipment or entering into a new agreement where, yes,
Consulting agreement.
the board is gonna have to review that anyway.
But I'm thinking about the painting. It was gonna be 20 something thousand. If we put that out for a formal bid process, chances are we won't have anyone send in because they've already got so much work. We have to kind of do an informal process on that one and just call the people that you know will come to Vinyl Haven and do it
Right,
and see what it is. So those are like, that was like kind of how I was looking at it.
Yeah.
Like, if we put it out, who wants more work? They're all gonna say, well, we don't want to have to go through the hassle of sending in a bid, so it could be
That's
just,
the, yeah, that's the
Okay.
downside of. you know,
okay,
I mean, we could just call the three people that you see at that advertise in the window, whatever, and
Yeah.
say, could you give us a quote? And then we could just go with the best quote. And that's not a formal bid, but it's
But
an
it's an
informal bid. So
so
that,
that's fine too.
yeah.
I agree.
So we need to
That's-
have the policy state that it doesn't always have to be a formal
It
bid.
needs to be,
I think that's
a
what
little
Marjorie was
flexible.
trying to get to.
yes, there needs to be some flexibility there.
Because we're on a small island. It's not like
Yeah.
we're in New York City where you have 500 different people in different boroughs that want to bid on something. We'd be lucky if we get three. We'd be lucky
Yes.
if we get one on a formal bid.
It
People
all
are like, I'm
depends
so
on the
busy
economy
now,
at the time.
I don't need to send this into the town. If
Yeah.
they want to call me, yeah, maybe I'll tell them.
All right. Anything else on that? All right, let's move on to 8C, Selectmen's Goals.
I just printed this off because this is the only thing I could find in the computer that from the past, and this is old, this is from 1819. Is that the last time you did an
No,
exercise
we've
like
done-
that?
Andy asked us last fall, he had a list of things and he had the things that we wanted done before, had some crossed off, and he asked us, because I remember saying like, I wanted to make sure, the only thing that I had last year would still go is just to
Mhm.
make sure that all the people that are in all the different, like tree growth and, all those things that they're up to date, just to make sure that people are, if they're in open space, they've done what they're supposed to do. That was my only goal, is just to kind of make sure
Mhm.
that, and now that we have, I believe probably that would fall on the code enforcement officer, just to go through, I'm not sure who would fall on, but that was one of my things, is
The
just to make sure.
assessor is the tree growth.
Okay, just
Yeah.
not just tree growth, but all, like all the different programs they have. That was, I said last year, I don't think it ever got done, but that was what I wanted to see, just to make sure that everyone was doing what they had to do to get the tax breaks that they were getting. If they had a farm break, they were farming. If they were tree growth, they had a tree plan. If they were in open spaces and they wanted the huge tax break, they didn't have no trespassing signs up, just stuff like that. That's all. That I can remember having that conversation at a select board meeting last year.
Yes,
Well, I can tell you,
it was like an informal audit or something is what you requested. If
I just
memory's,
Just to go through and make sure that if someone had a tree growth thing, that they were actually doing it.
yes.
But I mean, everyone had their things. I remember Pam had something and And I think Eric just wanted to see all the stuff finished before he got done.
Yeah.
Like, in which we did finish the Karen Place Bridge and like he said, I've been on this select board for 9 years. I want to see the town garage get finished. And it is. So I see some things on here on the capital projects, things that I just crossed off because we have actually finished them in the last 3 years. And some of these other things we've done somewhat. I mean, we did finish the harbor ordinance, which isn't ever really finished, but we did have a public meeting on it right before the pandemic, I remember. So, I mean, all these things could probably, we did the solid waste ordinance and the quarry ordinance. The cruise ship
enact
thing,
those?
huh?
Did we enact those?
We did the quarry one,
We
didn't we?
did, I know we've gone through them, but do
Because
we have,
And you had the
we had the
public
public
meeting.
hearing and then the meeting?
Yeah,
Okay, all
because
right.
remember, we had the airport one and the quarry one, and then we only
We had to
ended up finishing the quarry
Right.
one, because we gave up on the,
But did you ever?
What was the
vote
quarry
on the
ordinance?
Final.
it was about, like, it was only a page, we just added to it, like, because some of the well drilling companies were coming out here and taking water out of them. We added stuff like the only people that could take water of them were like the fire department, and there was a thing about pets, like no pets on quarry property, not just in the quarry, and then like no glass, just updating it, no drinking and smoking. I mean, it's only a page long if I remember, maybe it goes on to a second
No,
page
it's a-
now.
No, I think you're
We just updated a couple lines on it, so I'm pretty sure that's done.
Jake, on your land use, the tree growth and the conservation, do we have? I'm not familiar what the restrictions are and what are the documents or the guidelines that define these things and the tax consequences of each of these actions. Do we have anything on that we can easily access to understand where we are today?
So
Okay.
there are a few different current use programs. One is the tree growth program, one is open space, one is working waterfront, and then there's farmland or something like that. I think
And-
those are the four.
The open space is that land trust?
Mostly of their
No.
stuff. A lot of their stuff is in open space. The land trust,
No,
it's not.
And did we tree growth?
they,
No.
well, they pay a payment in lieu of taxes based on as if the
Right,
land was in open space.
okay, that's probably what I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Could be,
So
I'd love to be able to get access to this. I'm not really sure where to go.
access to the explanation for the
Yes,
program.
And what,
It's right in the main
what the requirements are.
It's right on the main revenue services website,
Yeah, okay.
but one of the things that I can tell you is that every year, the assessor is responsible for maintaining the records for all of these programs. And for instance, we just got an update on a tree growth application. They have to renew those every 10 years. And most people that were in tree growth actually changed that from tree growth to the open space program because it really made a lot of sense. I don't think anybody should be in the tree growth program on an island, but
No,
that's
that's
just,
more for logging.
that's just a
companies.
personal opinion. But the other thing I
It's a
wanted to
tax
say
shelter,
was
they
that
can't do it.
every year, Maine Revenue Services sends an auditor to our town, every town. And one of the things that they look at are the files on those 4 different programs, tree growth and open space, to make sure that we're in compliance with what our duties are as a town, and it's the assessor that is charged with keeping those records. So there is some oversight, and I guess that it's only as good as that auditor from Maine Revenue Services is. I've seen good ones and I've seen bad ones. But I can talk to Travis and make sure that we're up to date on all of our,
Yeah, that's all
So-
I mean, I don't need someone to come professionally check it. I was just curious, like to see where we stood on things.
well, every
If we have
year,
Andy never explained, he just said, he just wrote it down. He didn't say, oh, if someone comes out from the state and checks it like every year. He never even mentioned that, so, I mean,
Well, every year there's what is called a valuation book. Down here, we have a commitment book, but the valuation book that Wes Robinson prints out has the list of taxation, you know, that the money that we collect from every property owner. But he also prints out a section for who's in tree growth, who is, you know, nonprofits that we don't tax. So there's a section that he's required to print out. So at any time, you can look at that to see, well, who's in tree growth now, you know, that kind of thing. Or it's a report that's easily printed out. Even down here, we can go into that section and print a report to see who is in the tree growth program and what kind of discount, if you will. Because even within open space, there are different percentages of discount based on the use of that property. And I don't think we really have anybody that's in the working waterfront program. When that first came out, it's another current use program, but it's a lifetime commitment.
probably the co-op.
I don't think anybody went into it. It came into being when I was manager here, and a few people came in and looked at it, but you
There's
have to-
different levels of that too, right?
in my memory, the thing that people didn't like is that you had to commit that property for it's in perpetuity. So, and people thought, oh man, you know, it's a nice program, but I don't want to commit, like, what if my son ends up not wanting to fish and he wants to use it for something else?
Yeah, because then you have to pay back the back taxes.
Exactly. So
I thought
don't think-
Darlene told me that there was like a program where you could get 20% off, like if it was, like, I think they might have changed working waterfront, so it's not all or
Maybe.
nothing.
Yeah,
thought
I
that,
haven't
'cause-
really read that. I
Because
haven't
when I bought
read
a
it
piece
for
of
a long
property on the
time.
water that was just for fishing, she said, oh, you should look into it. There's some, like, you don't have to have it locked in for life, but you get
Oh.
like 20% off or something like that.
It
Maybe,
could be. I haven't read.
I think there's been an
guideline.
update since maybe, because it was
Could
100%.
be.
Or
yeah.
maybe, you know, everything, and then you had to pay it back. But I think there's a new, maybe, the way Darlene was talking, but don't quote me on it, I never looked into it.
I think that's something we do need, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for tax avoidance there. And I think that we're very capable of overextending the open land on the island. Where is the right balance? And I'm not sure what we can do, if anything.
It's an ongoing conversation in terms of, you know,
I
what's
just
the
like to
right
get up to
balance.
speed, because I don't understand it, and I just think it's right for a lot of tax avoidance.
Is there a state law that says how much percent of a certain municipality can be?
No,
No.
It's all
Can towns even limit that? I mean, is there?
No.
That's what I was
It's a
thinking.
state program, so like, we don't have any, we can't
Right.
reject an open land use claim or a tree growth claim, like it all goes to the
We could
state.
question it.
We could
Yeah.
question it, but have we ever as a town? I don't
But
know.
probably a tree growth thing might have when they went through that a few years ago, but that, like, cause a lot of people didn't have
yeah.
that.
What
But then they
happened,
had a new program and they all just switched into that.
Right.
yeah, what happened is we, as a town, began to challenge, you know, back when Jackie was still here and I was here, we began to challenge all the properties that were in tree growth, and it was up to the State Forest Service to make sure that if there was a plan in place, that the plan was being followed, but they weren't doing that.
Right.
They weren't doing that at all. So I think Vinalhaven, in addition to other towns, really started to challenge the Forest Service to prove that the program was even working. And at that point, a lot of people shifted from tree growth over to open space because it made more sense for what they were actually doing. I mean, people would have their property in tree growth and have a so-called tree growth plan. And by the way, the tree growth plans are confidential, which makes no sense whatsoever. So I, as a town manager, wasn't even allowed to see the plan. But anyway, so a lot of people got out of tree growth at that point because they were being challenged. And it became a negative, and it became controversial, and people didn't want to be seen as being in a program, like Don said, that was just a tax dodge, which is the way I always looked at it. I mean, if you're in tree growth, you should be managing the property. And
Nobody was doing that.
no, but, well, I shouldn't say.
A
nobody,
couple that do
but
that thing, but not many.
Yeah, really weren't that many that were really actually managing it.
And it'd be good to know what the expectations are, what the responsibilities of the people who have land in open or in tree growth. You know, what are their obligations? What are their responsibilities to maintain that
Yeah,
property?
and
that-
all of that information is on the Maine Revenue Services website. It's called Current Use Taxation Programs.
So on the goals,
I mean, it's up to you. What, do you want me to do anything with that? I can't remember what the conversation was last. It came up. You asked me to look for the old documents. I couldn't really find much other than
this
that.
here,
I don't know, is it in with the budget maybe? Is that,
I don't know, it seemed like it would have been in the minutes from last
I
year.
don't know.
And-
Well, what is it
At a
that,
workshop. I don't think I was there, but I think Gabe might have been
Gabe
there.
ran us through one workshop where we came up with like a,
But I don't remember any of those.
Yeah, she had a whole PowerPoint thing. on
Yeah,
all
and we
the
had
things,
like
or
a-
maybe not a PowerPoint,
Oh.
but some kind of a
some sort of like-
visual aid.
some sort of statement that we drafted, and then we had goals and,
Yeah, they were like 5-year goals for the town and
yeah, I mean,
near term. long
a lot of the stuff on here is, you know, island issues. I would say pretty much everything on here is still an issue, unfortunately. Capital projects, Carrying Place Bridge, I mean, that, we can cross that off. That's good. Broadband, that's never gonna happen.
I mean, roads is always on there.
Roads will always be on there.
Equipment replacements always.
Lanes
gonna be
Island
on.
Bridge, that's a state thing, and they decided not to do it because they didn't want to spend the money, even though it's been
Well, I
rated like a
just- I wanna-
terrible, terrible bridge.
follow through with anything that you'd like to do? I just, I don't have a strong sense of how you want to approach it, I guess.
Well, I think as we get closer to budget season, we probably should.
Well, I think the big issue right now is the transfer station and the downtown plan. Those are,
Which
Those
we're
are the two
working
big
on.
capital projects right
those are
now.
the two
so-
things. And then Dawn and Pam are going through the bylaws for the selectmen. I think that's another big thing. And then, I mean, we've always been working on ordinances. Those are always
Yeah.
big things. I mean, I don't think we really need to set goals. We've had these
Yeah.
ongoing goals that we've had for years that everyone knows about, but
Yeah,
I wasn't saying that was like a goal. I was just saying that's what I remember saying to
Yeah,
that did part
yeah.
to Andy, and he never explained what you just explained about all the things that the state does about the program. So if he'd said that, I would have just probably just said, all right, I'll come up and take a look at the
oh, yeah.
list or whatever, you know? Cause that's pretty much all I wanted. So you explained that there is one and that the
Yeah.
assessor does it, but he just wrote it down and that was pretty much it. So
Yeah.
you pretty much answered my questions, and I'll come and take a look at it. And
Maybe I'll join you, because I really want to do the same thing.
yeah, that was my whole thing. I just wanted to see, like, just for my own peace of mind to see
Uh-huh.
what was what out here.
And how much tax is being avoided.
Right.
I agree. We're docking, so I'm gonna jump off.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
Hi, Leslie.
Night.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys think we need to have another goal session? I don't personally. I mean, if we want something done, we can bring it up in a regular meeting, can't we? And say, I think this needs to be addressed.
well, I mean, I think, yeah, we can do that. I think it's pretty clear, like you said, what we, especially for next year and the rest of this fiscal year, we know what the main priorities are. It's downtown project, transfer station.
Selectmen bylaws,
We've
purchasing
got to
policy.
go over some ordinances and some policies.
Yeah, but that's ongoing. That's
Right,
not,
that's always, it's always out there, so.
I'm fine with not setting anything else than what we've already got going on.
My goal is to spend money as wisely as we can.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's.
That's everyone's goal. Whether we actually end up getting to is the question. All right, let's move on to 8D, review selectmen's bylaws.
Just wait for Pam to be here. don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We did some work, and I think that
Do you want-
Margie's going to probably try to
did-
formalize some of the stuff.
Yeah, I did a red line version of what Don and Pam and I talked about, so maybe you could look at that. It's not a lot, but it's,
There were a few
Significant?
minor, minor changes in there.
so those are the things that Don and Pam and I came up with that should be amended.
Okay.
If you want to look at that.
Did we add something about the, I haven't looked at this, sorry.
Yeah.
Did we add something about the way the hybrid meetings work? Is that in the selectmen bylaws now? Should it, if it's not, should it?
Yeah, we should have something in there about,
Because I remember Andy saying like after the pandemic ended, they gave us the option to keep doing it, like the state changed their rules on how things are run. But I didn't know if we actually had to put it in here or if it's just a thing the state does. So maybe just make sure that we're still okay to keep doing these virtual things. I mean, hasn't the technical state of emergency ended now?
We never addressed that at all in that. We just basically
You
tried.
just went through what was here, right?
Right,
And-
exactly.
But I mean, I think maybe we should just make sure that we're covered on continuing to offer hybrid meetings.
Yeah, we really didn't go into the hybrid meeting. We really went to the reporting and how it, we took things like tape recording off, because it probably is not tape
Right.
recording anymore, but tried to make sure that we met the guidelines for public
Right.
information.
I mean, because in years past, I've always gone to Florida, and before the pandemic, I could never do them. And then just so happened I was in Florida when the pandemic started, and Andy emailed me, said, oh, you can come in, we're having a special meeting to discuss this virtually, and you're welcome to join in. So now every year I go down there, I always, Zoom in now for the last couple of years, but I just wanted to make sure it's still legal,
I guess we just assumed that it was.
I remember Andy showing us something like last spring that was showing like what we had to keep them, hybrid meetings, or if we wanted to go fully remote, like what the situations were. And I'm pretty sure as long as you said, like we do, virtual hybrid meeting at the top and it's announced before 48 hours, that we were all set. But I just want to make sure that now that the pandemic and the state of emergency has ended, that I don't want to have someone say, oh, you can't do that.
One thing me and Marjorie talked about briefly was if you guys want them just written records, do you want a recording somewhere? I mean, obviously it's on Facebook Live and wherever that lives in some cloud somewhere, but do you want an official recording stored somewhere? And then I guess think about then how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we
Seems
talked
like
about the
Facebook
record
is-
keeping,
Yeah,
that's in
and I
there.
wasn't sure how it worked.
I mean, it's probably a good idea since we have it to store it somewhere for a certain period of time, but I have no idea if it should be a year, 3 years, 7 years. I mean, is there any recommendation from MMA on any of that stuff that you know about?
I'll look it up.
Yeah,
because
because,
if you're gonna be recording it,
and it's saved to Facebook Live, I'm assuming that they keep it for a certain amount of time before they delete everything. They're not gonna save everything indefinitely, I wouldn't think.
no, but that, like, if you're gonna have to store, then you're gonna have to pay someone else.
No, but I
to
mean, you could
store
just
it
get a
and-
thumb drive and store each year on that and say, if you want to look at it, someone's gonna come and throw. I mean, it doesn't have to be real high tech. I mean, that's still something you could just download once every 3 months, you could just download them onto a thumb drive and put that somewhere. And just
Well,
know
we
what
don't-
it is.
We should find out how are we doing it right now?
We don't
We don't.
record the meetings, other than it is on Facebook, so I guess you could say it is recorded.
I mean, the only thing we have are the minutes, right, to go back and look at.
Yes, we have the
There's always
written
a written
minutes.
record.
Yeah,
And for a while they were on, I believe Gabe was uploading them to YouTube, so some of them are on YouTube, some are on Facebook Live. I think some of them are on the website for a minute.
this
They
is
were,
during COVID.
yeah,
Isn't the
But then-
website connected to YouTube on that?
I don't remember
That was
where.
kinda
it
what
was.
we talked
I'm
about.
not, I don't know.
I don't
either.
know where they all live.
Well, yeah,
technically,
maybe we
so-
should look into, if we do have a hybrid meeting, if we have to store it for a certain amount, is there any laws surrounding it? I mean, we should probably just make
Okay.
sure that we're covered, I
Okay.
guess.
I'll
Yeah,
do that.
it's,
I'm not saying that we don't need to pay $1,000 a month to have these stored somewhere in the cloud, but like
Well,
if we
Andy
have to
had
have them
that.
available, if someone asks them, we could have them on a thumb drive and we could just,
Andy had that, what was it called? Something
Archive social.
Archive social for a while, but I don't know.
I'll
Yeah.
find out
Go
what
ahead.
legal.
right,
yeah, what are we
I mean,
legally required to
because
do?
like for the Freedom of Information Act, if someone says, I want to see what you guys talked about since it was hybrid, do we have to show them that? Because if we do, we should be saving these somewhere.
Hmm.
I mean, I would assume that the minutes are good enough, but they always were 5 years ago, but I don't know about nowadays.
Yeah.
They just,
We're
maybe,
gonna have to find out.
I'm sure MMA probably has the answer to
Oh,
all these
yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
I've just never had him asked me, so I,
So
A good question.
we'll review this as well next time.
Okay.
Jake and I will review what's already been edited, but looks like we're gonna have to probably add something about the hybrid meetings and
Okay.
maybe update on how we store, or if we store in the recorded meetings. All right, 8E parking ordinance.
I took a stab at adding the things that you wanted. They're highlighted in yellow. I mean, I just simply put Main Street parking from Windy Way to High Street shall be limited to 2 hours. Is that kind of where you were going with
I
it?
had also mentioned maybe the front row of the parking lot, by the Eagle, just,
Oh, for 2 hours?
yeah, just because, I mean, sometimes that's where the vendors park, and if you had it like that, then they couldn't.
Well, this
park.
right here, the,
I mean, yes, I see that part about the
Yeah.
vendors too, but I mean, there's only a finite amount of spaces and that front row is still like some older person. It's not as bad if from walking from
Yeah.
the front row. That was all I suggested. The first, this is fine that it's 2 hours. I was just saying we should make it 2 hours on the spots right on Main Street, yes, but I had also mentioned perhaps the front row of the parking lot
itself.
for 2 hours, because then you still have all the rest of it for, all day parking or whatever. Or
Yeah,
multiple.
sometimes you have.
But you would think if
The
you were just going to
owners.
the grocery store, you could get stuff done in 2 hours, even in the
You
summer.
wouldn't
I would hope.
need 2 hours.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, sometimes you might need more than 30 minutes.
Yeah,
I suggested 2 hours because I didn't really know what to suggest, and we never had anything.
You could be 30 minutes in line at Carver's.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I thought 2 hours was a happy medium. If someone had a bunch of stuff to unload into their shop, we'd give them plenty of time to do it, and then they can move their car. But I had mentioned the front row of the parking lot. I don't know how anyone else feels about it. This would just kind of make it convenient for everyone when they go down there. They don't have to walk, I mean, there's only 2 handicap spots. I don't know what it's gonna look like after this whole project, but I assume there's not gonna be that many more handicap spots added, or I think this is good to start with. We can see how this works. We put up some signs and see if people actually look at them, and
Well, I think I should put it on another agenda and maybe,
so the public can
Try
come and
to-
talk about it.
yeah, try to, I don't know, how can we let people know that we're talking about this? Or-
I mean,
But also-
we technically don't have to have a public hearing about this, right? Because
No, it's entirely up to the selectmen. I just thought it would be, and again, it's up to you. I just felt
we
like,
could have a public hearing about it though, technically, right?
I don't. I think when we have a public hearing about this, it should be after the downtown project is done to get more feedback
Probably.
on like
But we
how it
could-
should be at that
I mean,
point.
yeah.
Because we've got 2 more summers until that's done, hopefully.
so
Right?
so don't implement this then, or what?
No, this is an ordinance that we can enact, correct? Or is
Yes.
this one, or do we
Yeah.
have to have a,
No, we don't have to have a public hearing.
Okay.
If we
No,
like
you
this,
don't
what's
have
written
to.
here, we can say it goes into effect probably in 48 hours or whatever. I don't know what the legal. limit
the only
is.
thing I think the $25, I think that's too low.
I do too.
Section 8.
Yep.
Any person charged with a violation of this ordinance, $25 is, it's not a
Yep.
deterrent, in my opinion.
Not worth the time.
is
Where is
50
that?
enough?
Oh, here it is. I got it.
Section 8.
He's gonna start.
Or is 50 not enough too?
I think 50 the first time, then you can have it go up at, like, if you're a repeat offender after 3 times, then it goes up to like 500 or something. Cause you know, there's not gonna be that many.
We don't
people.
have that in here though, do we?
No,
What's that?
no, it's
It
not in
escalate,
there.
it doesn't escalate.
No, it's
It's
just
just a
50.
$25. I think it should be 50 a first time offense. And then it should increase thereafter, but I don't know.
Don't they usually go second offense like 100? They usually
It
double,
doubles
then
usually.
triple to the third offense, and then it's
Then it's a one.
usually that amount to add the third one at the
everyone
same
after
time.
that.
I
It's
think
hard-
that's,
It's hard to enforce.
yes,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
realize
the
that.
question is who's gonna enforce it?
Technically.
Well, our town lawyer would have to go take them to court. We'd have to pay for that, so we'd be paying way
Well, the
more money
ordinances
than
are
it's worth,
supposed to be enforced by the Knox County Sheriff.
right?
And
That's
again,
in our
another,
contract.
another issue on the meeting with, we have,
Yep.
Yeah, they said they don't enforce other towns' ordinance, but since we're paying half their budget, that guy said they were supposed to enforce our ordinances too. Or try, I can't remember how he worded it. I know he said they would. That was Tim.
All right, so in section 8, let's change the violation
get
from
it.
25 to 50.
Mhm.
Do we want to add in language about the second offense is
Yes.
100 and the third offense is 500?
Or whatever. I don't care what number you put on there.
make it so it's painful if you don't follow it.
I think second offense, 200,
Every offense.
not
thereafter.
200, 100, I mean.
Yeah.
Every
Sorry.
offense.
Doubles
thereafter
every
is-
time.
Sure. Well, and every time thereafter doubles, I don't care. I mean, it's gonna be hard to collect it anyway. It's just something that we can, if you give someone a ticket for $100, they might pay attention, I guess.
Yeah, I don't.
They
think we
might
should-
be
I
worried
don't think
about
we should
what's
put
gonna
in there
happen. They might
about
not do it.
doubling every time though. I think you get it. The third offense is 500.
And then
Then it's
everyone after that.
The third offense and everyone after is
Yeah.
500.
I would just move the
No, I know,
sequence of
but
Well,
we don't
what-
want to
Yeah,
leave it open-ended.
Or
and Shabig, the parking area on the wharf, it was free, but again, it was a 24-hour, I think it's 24, you couldn't be there for more than 24 hours. But then, we had to hire somebody to keep track of all the cars that were parked there and, put a mark on the tires and go back and then issue tickets. And then in the office, we had to keep track of the numbered parking tickets and send bills to people, for the tickets. Sometimes people would just come in and pay. So, it's like one of those, be careful what you wish for.
Right.
I'll
Well,
do
we've already
whatever-
had this in here for how many years is this? The $25 was already in here, wasn't it?
Amended April
Has
14th.
it ever been,
2008.
has a ticket ever been written that you know of, Marjorie?
Nope.
This was first adopted in 1990,
Right,
last amended. in
but it's
2000.
been in here the whole time. It
That's
doesn't
what I'm
mean,
saying.
People park illegally all the time.
right,
It's 32 years old and I bet we haven't collected $1.
right. So I mean, I don't know if we change the enforcement thing, that it's really gonna change anything. Anyway, I mean, when we put those signs up on School Street, people did stop parking on them. I mean,
Mhm.
I think just putting the signs up and they'll be like, well, how can you guys do that? And we'll be like, well, there's a parking ordinance. I think that's gonna help
It's just,
immensely. I don't know if we really need, we should have a mechanism that we can if we have to, if there's someone, but I mean, I don't necessarily see us going down there and
It's
checking
just-
every car for 2 hours. It's gonna be like, if someone's car's there for like 3 straight days, you might say,
Right.
come on
yeah,
now.
it's just an interesting conversation because now in Shabby, they're talking about eliminating the parking tickets because, they have to pay a parking attendant.
Well, if you did that, you would have to enforce it. If you were paying someone, you'd have to have them, if you were paying them a salary, you'd have to try and collect part of it back. Is that,
It's just an interesting conversation, and I mean, for years, Shabik has had parking tickets and issued parking tickets on a daily basis, but they have also paid somebody $20 an hour to do the,
To monitor and-
being the guy that monitors everybody that's parked there. So it's just, you know,
We could pay Louis to do it. He's down there all the time anyway.
Louis and Steve.
All right, in section 8, let's at least just change it from 25 to 50.
Uh-huh.
Leave that,
Yeah,
that'll be enough for now.
and then if we decide that we need enforcement, we can always revisit this. But there should be a mechanism that we can,
Yes.
and 50, I think 50 is fine to start with.
so
The
I
2-hour
can-
one could be a little more difficult, but the rest of them, I mean, there's no time limit. You either can do it or you can't.
Right.
And those can be, you don't, the police can monitor those.
Right.
If they do get off their butt and do something.
I know, this is perfect. This is what I was kind of just, something just to, so we can put a sign up that says, you know, this is 2-hour parking, and I think most people will abide by it.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
I don't want to spend 2 hours downtown,
no, but,
basically anytime.
no, but I
So,
no, but I mean,
I don't want to go out.
so I'll
some
make these
people do.
amendments and bring it back.
Yes,
Yes.
please. All right, 9, new business. Seeing none, move on to 10, report of town manager.
I just wanted to report that I did send that Madison and Mackenzie Young a letter saying that they had to pay by the end of October, or we would, let's see, where did I,
Do we take the next?
if we do
lowest
not
bid?
receive payment, your bid will be considered null and void, and we will offer the property to the next highest bidder. So I haven't heard too much from them, but anyway, that's,
We've got
I
2
did write
weeks.
that letter. I got a quote for replacing the generator here. Apparently, we don't have a generator anymore. And the recommendation was to just buy something new. That's $6,600.
Is it a propane one?
Oh, I don't know.
But it should be.
Here it is, Generac generator. Install generator on existing cement base. Connect existing AC and control wires from generator to transfer switch. What does that sound like?
It doesn't say, but the Generac that I have is propane because they're a lot less maintenance. Is this from CMD or who is this from?
CMD.
Okay, I'm sure that those are the ones that come out and service mine. They actually come out to the island and they'll change the oil on them. They'll call me and say, oh, we're coming out. Do you want me to come?
Yeah.
You know, and if they run, Generac, I've had no problems with mine since before my kids were born, except for the battery that starts it. I had to replace that, but I mean, batteries are batteries, so.
Well,
Had that problem where they had some freezing and the ice inside the unit.
It comes on once a week for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This one used to, I remember doing
Yeah, it's probably propane
So-
because those are what most of them are gone to
Yeah.
now, because it's, like, there's no carburetors and stuff like that. It's just so much. I'm a CMD, I would go with them personally. I
Well-
like them, so.
my
need to
problem
get one.
is that all I have, in the operating account, I only have $6,500 total.
And this was 66.
This is 6,600. I mean, and there's certainly a lot of other things that need to be done on this building. You did put 6,000 into the Washington School Reserve, but I think I should leave that alone. Were you trying to just build up a reserve fund for the building? or-
Yeah, it was for like with repairs, because Andy said some of the siding where
Siding,
behind some
and
bushes
it's
was
been
getting a
Alright.
little
painted
rotted.
and-
Oh,
and
this,
there's-
yeah, this
there's-
building is in terrible shape.
Yeah, we were just trying to build something up, so when we
But,
actually found someone that would do some work, there would be some money there, so.
My proposal is, so in the 2022 budget, there was $31,000 in the Washington School operating budget for improvements, and not one penny of that was spent. So what I'd like to do
Let's take it out of
Yes.
fund balance.
is have you carry that forward to this current budget, but it would be a vote. I mean, would you be interested in doing that?
So it would come out of the fund balance, because that's where all unused money went, right?
So it doesn't come out of anything. It's already in the budget. All we're doing is carrying it forward so that we can utilize that money. So it's like carrying a balance forward. It's already
So what-
money that's been in it's in the 2022 budget, but not one dime was spent out of that 31,000.
The 31,000 that we appropriated for last year's budget,
Mm.
none was spent. You want to use 6,600 for the new generator. But it
Well,
wouldn't
what
come out
I'd
of this
like-
year's operating budget.
What I'd like to do is carry forward that amount so that we can get some work done on
Yeah,
the
we do
building.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
It's
it's
un-
just coming out of fund balance,
it
right?
was already approved. We
Last
didn't
year.
spend it. It's still going to be spent on what we intended it to be spent on.
Right.
so.
Yeah, that would be fine with me. I mean, because there is some stuff that needs to be taken care of on the outside and inside of the building, so.
Well, one of the things that I tried to get it done before the end of June when I came in, is cutting down some of the trees out back so we can at least get a little bit of light on the back of the building. And I've asked Chuck Gadzik to help me, and he's a.
Forester.
Yeah, and he'll do it for nothing. Well, just that guidance, but, I'd like to have him help give whoever's cutting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do
and
we,
there's
So
interior painting.
we have to have a vote on that.
Yeah, so if you're amenable to it, what I'll do is bring you a proposal next meeting.
okay,
I don't want to, pop it on you and have you make a motion right now. But if you would be amenable to that proposal, I'll bring something at the next meeting.
I mean, I think there should be a generator up here. If we have a power outage and a pipe burst or something, it's gonna cost more than $6,600 and damage.
well, my next question was, how long have we not had a generator up here, I guess?
No, when did
I
it?
just assumed there was one
I
up
don't know,
here.
I used to remember it, you could hear it running it was every Tuesday morning at like 10 o'clock.
That mine's every
Was
Wednesday
that
at
before
night.
the pandemic?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
But
Because
I mean,
we've gotten by without one is kind of my thinking, what I'm thinking, I'm not saying we don't do it, but it's 6,600 that we know can be used on
Mhm.
other repairs,
Mhm.
but I'm fine, bring the proposal next time and we can vote on it.
Again, what's the primary concern about not having it?
we'll just have to close when the
Right,
power's
We'd have
out.
to
Yeah,
close.
we'd have to close if the power's out. I mean,
And then if there was an extended one, you could have some water damage or something burst, I
And
guess.
heat issues. and-
yeah, if the pipes froze, that
And
would be
and
more
I'm-
than $6,600, I agree.
I'm not
That's all.
saying that this is designated as a warming place, but
It
it
could
has
be.
been
It
used
is an emergency shelter spot, isn't it?
for people to come in just, to keep warm if
All right,
it's,
if that's, then we should get it. then.
Yeah, if that's the case.
If that's
yeah.
the case, then we
Yeah,
should.
I
that's
think it is. I
justification,
think
yeah.
I remember, like in snowstorms and stuff, like, I think they've said that they'll try and. Before I remember, maybe it wasn't here, maybe it was the fire hall. They said if you needed to go someplace to warm up, that it was gonna be open. And I know that they keep someone down there, like Mark or someone will be down there on big snowstorms, just in case something happens that, they won't have to get plowed out. So.
Okay.
In the schools, are they also? in the
They
same
don't have a
category?
generator that runs the whole school. It only runs the cooling system and something else.
Does
or
it
something.
run?
keeps
does
the
it
lights on.
keep
Yeah.
the lights
And the
on?
heating,
Does it
not
do
the
the
heating?
heat? I know it does not do the kitchen.
Yeah, it
Must do
doesn't,
the heat.
It's pretty minimal.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Brian
How big
Feezer
is
about
yours?
that last
17.
night. We had a
1800.
Is that full
emergency
house?
operations plan meeting with the medical center and the school and everybody, and I thought that they had a generator, but he was explaining just what you said, that it doesn't really do anything.
They cut that big, huge generator out of the budget when they built the school so they could use the money elsewhere and just kept the bare minimum small one. I mean, probably the one I have in my house is probably similar to the one they have at the school because mine's so much newer that,
Well, you would think that they wouldn't necessarily need it, because
but if you wanted to use that as an
Power's out.
emergency shelter, you'd
If-
need something bigger.
then that would be something different.
But I mean,
If
that-
the power's out, they're not gonna have school.
6,600 for them to come and hook it up and bring it out here and install it, that's pretty,
That's real reasonable.
yes.
All right,
They probably,
Depending
and
on
I bet
size.
you when they come out, I get a phone call about servicing mine.
The only other thing I have is that we were served today with a civil suit from William Haley I was served, well, you were served. Did you get papers individually? Donald Poole, Darlene Candage, and Marjorie Stratton. Has to do with that plane crash. So
That's
there's
when
a,
it went off the runway
Last
with him
summer?
a couple of years ago. It was probably like a year and a half
Year
ago
and a
now.
half ago, yeah.
Darlene, not Darlene, but I think Denise might have been on board when it happened too. And the pilot, they just didn't get off the runway and went off the end. And
Right,
He was on his, he was the emergency patient, obviously.
so,
Civil suit, but it's basically they're bringing it against the town. It's not you personally getting sued.
so
Right.
what do I personally have to do with it?
Well,
You
you're
weren't
the,
even
you're
town
the,
manager.
select- you're.
No, I know,
mean,
but like,
I'm sure it's
I-
just a
if
formality.
it's a formality, that's fine, but like personally, like,
I'm just letting you know, I've already sent it off to our attorney, our airport insurer, and our main municipal insurance agency, but we have a separate insurance policy for the airport, so I
Yeah.
sent it off to everybody. I don't know.
I don't, what's their claim then, that we didn't provide a safe enough runway, or?
We didn't strap him down appropriately.
So they're suing the E EMS.
As I say, because the Penobscot Island Air is a private company, we have nothing to do with them, so.
So, and they're contracted by our emergency services to provide emergency flights to Rockland, so they don't have to take the ferry.
But that wasn't an emergency flight, was it? That was
Oh,
just a-
yeah, he was on an ambulance and they were taking him to the mainland on a stretcher.
Mhm.
Okay,
So, I mean,
maybe I'm thinking of a different one.
the one where the plane crashed in the woods, like when it hit a tree and it
It
went
went,
off
like,
in the woods,
across
that
the
was a
road.
different one, like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay,
This one, they just kind of went off the end.
that, I must be mixing
And
them up.
Too
then.
heavy, I think, if I recall.
I don't remember what
It was
happened. I just
overweight.
remember hearing about it. And it was about,
Well, I mean, if you send it off to the proper
yeah, or simply
parties, then
also.
we'll wait and see, but. it's
There
not-
isn't much we can
nothing-
do, is there?
yeah,
I
nothing we
mean,
can do.
notify our insurances and then
Sit back.
if it comes to it, we'll have to notify our attorneys, I guess.
Well, she notified her attorneys too, so.
Oh, yeah. I thought she said
I sent it to our
MMA
attorney,
attorney. Oh, okay.
our airport insurance carrier, and also our main municipal insurance carrier, just to let them know.
Well, then
Although I
we
don't
should
think
be all
it's
set
covered
then.
under any of those policies.
All right.
So if you see the cop coming down your road, you'll know what he's doing. You're getting served. You got served, Donald.
How they're gonna come after me when I had nothing to do with it, but whatever.
Well, Marjorie wasn't even out here.
I know
at
she
the
wasn't,
time.
she wasn't the town manager at
I've
the
been
time.
sued so many times. It's so sick.
So you know, it's just,
I
yeah,
know.
it is what it is.
Okay, thanks.
Well, thanks for letting us know, I guess. Sorry you had to deal with it.
Nice seeing you, officer.
Anything else?
No, thank
Say,
you.
I got a text from Samantha. She said the new electric school bus is supposed to act as some sort of a generator for the school. too.
Oh, that's right. Yep, I remember hearing that.
Really?
That's what she said. I have no idea. Just passing it on. That's pretty much all I have for the report. right now.
That-
Oh, actually, I could fill you guys in on I had a meeting with the DMR commissioner last Thursday night in Ellsworth about all this whale stuff, and if they don't win the court case, it's not gonna be good.
When do we know? about the- when do we-
90% is pretty much unattainable without going to 200 or 300 or 400 traps and closing big areas.
So when does the court case wrap up? Do we know? Any idea?
Something will mow by Christmas.
By Christmas? Oh, great. And it's, so 90%,
Well,
Risk
we'll know
reduction.
by Christmas if we have 6 months or 2 years, I guess, or somewhere in between.
so it
To
could
come to
go,
90%,
it could go in effect next season. That's the worst case right now.
could be by next, whatever that would be, May, I guess. And we have another meeting on this Thursday in Ellsworth, not in Ellsworth, in Belfast, that I'm gonna be going to. This is with a model that National Marine Fisheries Services is using, which makes no sense. They're going by water temperature and food distribution where whales could be, not where they've actually been sighted in the last 10 years. When you overlay that, there's been like 2 whales sighted 30 miles from shore in Maine in the last 5 years, so it just doesn't make any sense. And it's not like we don't want to do anything. We've done quite a lot. That last thing was a 50% reduction or 48%, I guess, so. But the other 42% is a lot I mean, the closures are huge. They're all of, like down in Jonesport, they're gonna close it right to the shore for 3 months, the whole area.
What 3 months?
May, June, July for state waters, June, July, and August for federal waters. And that's all of zone A, not just like a little piece.
So what are they gonna do if Canadian lobstermen come down and go fishing?
Well, they already do fish
Well,
together
that's
at
okay,
Tri-Seal
so-
Island, and they can't do anything about that, so our fishermen will take up their gear and they'll still be fishing in the same waters, so. I'm just telling you, these models don't make any sense, so they're fighting them, but I don't know what's gonna happen. If we have to go to 90%, it's not gonna be pretty.
No, it won't.
It's gonna be, you could close all federal waters and get some percentage, but if you reduce traps by 40%, I mean, from 800 to 400, somehow it's only like a 21% reduction instead of a 50%. Yeah,
Because of the depth of the water, they're fishing in the length of the line, is that what they're factoring in?
I don't know, because you have all these minimums, so they're saying people would put more open the water somehow, but I don't understand how you would, because you can still only fish 2 or 3 to a line wherever you are, or 20, so I don't really understand how it works, but just telling you what they're telling me. So. Supposedly, down in Ellsworth, they've already had so many trap orders canceled that they've laid off like most of the trap builders in Down East Fishing Supply.
Has there been any talk about some sort of fund to help maybe buy out some of the older lobstermen to maybe get their licenses
Yeah,
out
I
of
mean,
there?
everything's on the table right now. But that would be a
Not-
federal appropriation that they'd have to tack on to something, probably,
Right.
they'd probably tack it on to one of these emergency relief bills,
Right.
because they also just shut down all crabbing in Alaska, which is like a $200 million hit to that state. That's happening this year because they can't go, period, so,
That's just for the snow crabs though, right?
and king crab.
And king as well, because I was just hearing snow in the news.
No, because that's new, they had that open last year and king crab was closed, and king crab was closed for a second year, along with snow crab, so. But they said if it's a government thing that makes you shut down and it's not a species thing, that they'll have to pay us something, because there's still lobsters there that we could catch, we just can't. And the technology's at least, they're saying maybe 2030, but then everyone would have to have a satellite on their boat, because it all has to be in real time so you can see everything, so. That's my update, I guess. It's not good. Hopefully the judge isn't as bad as everyone thinks he will be.
Is this at a, where is it in the judicial, it's a state,
No, it's a federal.
it is a
thing,
federal,
DC.
so can it be appealed, this
Yes,
ruling?
they,
Can be appealed, too.
yeah,
Anything
it would
can
be
appealed.
it will be appealed to the DC Circuit Court, and then after that, it would have to go to the Supreme Court. There's only, I mean,
There's only 2 more levels to go.
after this
Yeah.
one. But you can't appeal anything until there's a ruling. so
Right.
It's not like you can say, oh, we think he's gonna do this, so we can appeal. You have to wait
And you
until,
get an injunction along with the appeal.
right. But I'm just telling you what's happening right now. From what I'm seeing, it doesn't,
Not looking good, huh?
I'll have more information on Thursday. I can
Okay.
email you guys whatever they tell me if I,
Yes,
Thanks
please
for
do,
that.
because. Yeah. All right. Any other reporter members? Leslie, no, all right.
Nope, she's gone.
Okay. I move we adjourn.
second.
All those in favor?
Oops, sorry, I didn't raise my hand, but I seconded. I assume that was. Okay.